Taeho woke up in a hospital bed. White walls surrounded him. Machines beeped softly nearby. Sunlight streamed through a window, warm and gentle on his face. For a moment, he did not remember where he was. Then the memories came flooding back. The beast, the fight, the chokehold. He tried to sit up. Pain shot through his entire body. He groaned and fell back onto the pillow. "Easy there, hero." Anna's voice came from beside him. "You have 14 broken bones, internal bleeding in 3 places, and more bruises than anyone has ever seen. The doctors said you should be dead." Taeho turned his head slowly. Hannah sat in a chair next to his bed. Her eyes were red from crying, but she was smiling. "How long have I been out?" he asked. His voice was rough and dry. 4 days. The medical team kept you in an induced sleep while they fixed the worst of the damage." She handed him a glass of water. "You scared me half to death, you know?" Taeho took a sip of water. It was the best thing he had ever tasted. "The beast," he said. "What happened to it?" "Still unconscious. Scientists have it contained in a special facility. They are studying it, trying to understand why your attack worked when everything else failed." Anna shook her head in amazement. "Turns out, the beast's scales can absorb energy attacks. That is why lasers and plasma did not work. But they could not protect against good old-fashioned physical force." "So I was right," Taeho said. "Low-tech beats high-tech." "You were incredibly lucky," Hana corrected. "And also maybe a little bit right." The door opened. Professor Yuna walked in, followed by several other people in official-looking uniforms. They stopped at the foot of Taeho's bed, looking at him with a mixture of respect and disbelief. "Sergeant Taeho," Yuna said formally. "How are you feeling?" "Like I was hit by a truck, repeatedly, for several hours." A small laugh escaped from the professor's lips. "That is understandable. What you did was beyond anything I have ever witnessed." She stepped forward and placed her hand on the bed rail. "The entire galaxy watched your fight. Every species, every planet, every station. For 5 hours, the universe held its breath as a single human fought a monster that had killed 11,000 soldiers." Taeho blinked. 5 hours? It felt longer than that. It was 5 hours, 37 minutes, and 12 seconds. The video has been downloaded over 1 billion times. "You are quite famous now." One of the officials stepped forward. He was a tall human with gray hair and a chest full of medals. Taeho recognized him as General Park, the commander of Earth's military forces. "Sergeant," General Park said stiffly, "what you did was against regulations. You acted without orders. You abandoned your post. You put yourself in unnecessary danger." Taeho's heart sank. After everything, he was going to be punished? Then the general smiled. "It was also the bravest thing I have ever seen. On behalf of Earth's military, I am promoting you to the rank of captain. Effective immediately." Another official stepped forward. This one was an alien with blue skin and 4 arms. "The Galactic Council wishes to award you the Star of Valor. It is the highest honor our alliance can give. Only 5 individuals have received it in the past century. More officials came forward with more honors, medals, titles, land grants. Enough money to live comfortably for 10 lifetimes." Taeho listened to it all in stunned silence. When they finally finished, the room fell quiet. Everyone looked at him, waiting for a response. Taeho thought for a moment. Then he said, "Can I get something to eat? I am really hungry." Laughter filled the room. The tension broke. Officials who had been standing stiffly suddenly relaxed. Even General Park cracked a genuine smile. "We can arrange that," Professor Yuna said. "But first, there is something you should see." She pulled out a small device and projected an image onto the wall. It showed crowds of people, humans and aliens, thousands of them, millions of them. They were gathered in cities and stations across the galaxy, watching the fight on giant screens, and they were cheering. This was taken during your fight, Yuna explained. People stopped working. Ships stopped flying. Entire planets went quiet as everyone watched you. When you finally brought the beast down, the celebrations lasted for days. Taeho stared at the images. He saw children sitting on their parents' shoulders. He saw old soldiers saluting their screens. He saw species that had been enemies for centuries standing side by side, united by a shared moment of hope. I just wanted to help those research stations, he said quietly. The families there. You did help them, Hana said. They're safe now. The beast cannot hurt anyone anymore. And you did more than just save those families. You reminded everyone what is possible when someone refuses to give up. The officials slowly left the room, giving Taeho time to rest. Only Hana and Professor Yuna remained. Yuna sat down in a chair across from the bed. She looked at Taeho with curious eyes. Can I ask you something? She said, Sure. When you were out there, facing that creature, were you afraid? Taeho thought about the question. He remembered looking into the beast's red eyes. He remembered feeling its hot breath on his skin. He remembered the moment he jumped toward its jaws instead of away. Yes, he admitted. I was terrified. Every moment of that fight I thought I was going to die. Then why did you keep going? Taeho looked out the window. The sky was clear and blue. Somewhere out there, on a dark planet, a monster slept peacefully in a containment cell. Because being afraid is not the same as giving up, he said. Fear tells you something is dangerous. It does not tell you to stop. You can be scared and brave at the same time. In fact, I think that is the only way to really be brave. Professor Yuna nodded slowly. I have studied alien species my entire life. I have seen incredible things, but I have never understood humans. You are weaker than many species, slower than others. Your technology is not the most advanced. And yet, we keep winning fights we should not win. Taeho finished. Exactly. How do you explain that? Taeho smiled. I cannot explain it. It is just who we are. We are too stubborn to know when we are supposed to lose. In the weeks that followed, Taeho became more than famous. He became a symbol. Children across the galaxy played games where they pretended to fight the dread beast. Soldiers trained using recordings of his battle, studying his movements and tactics. Scientists wrote papers about human psychology, trying to understand what made one man do what armies could not. But Taeho did not care much about any of that. When he was finally released from the hospital, he went back to his small apartment on Earth. He ate home-cooked meals. He watched old movies. He took long walks in the park near his home. Sometimes, people would recognize him on the street. They would ask for pictures or autographs. They would thank him for what he did. Taeho always smiled and nodded politely, but he never really understood what all the fuss was about. He had just done what needed to be done. He had seen a problem that no one else could solve, and he had solved it. In his mind, that was not heroism. That was just common sense. One evening, Hana came to visit him. They sat on his balcony, watching the sun set over the city. Any regrets? She asked. Tae-Ho thought about it. I wish I had worn better shorts. The ones I had kept riding up during the fight. Hana laughed. That is your only regret? You nearly died fighting a giant monster, and your biggest complaint is uncomfortable shorts. Good shorts are important, Taeho said seriously. Never underestimate the value of proper clothing. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the colors change in the sky. So what now? Hannah asked. You could have any job in the galaxy, any position you want. What are you going to do? Tejo took a sip of his drink. He looked up at the stars beginning to appear in the darkening sky. I heard there is trouble on a planet called Vega 12, he said. Some kind of creature that has been causing problems. Hannah groaned. Please tell me you are not thinking what I think you are thinking. Tejo grinned. I'm going to need better shorts this time. And somewhere in the galaxy, the legend of the naked human continued to grow. Because that is what legends do. They start with one crazy person doing one impossible thing. And they never really end. They just wait for the next chapter to begin. The fight continued for what felt like hours. The sun moved across the sky. Shadows grew longer in the valley. And still, Tejo danced around the dread beast, refusing to die. His body was covered in cuts and bruises. Several times, the beast's claws had come close enough to draw blood. His feet were torn from running across rough ground. Every muscle in his body screamed for rest. But he did not stop. He could not stop. The beast was getting tired too. Tejo could see it in the way it moved. Its attacks were slower now, less accurate. It was not used to fighting for so long. It was not used to prey that would not give up. Getting sleepy? Tejo asked, gasping for breath. I could use a nap myself. The beast growled deep in its chest. The sound vibrated through the ground and into Tejo's bones. It was angry now. Really angry. This tiny creature had made a fool of it. Had dodged every attack. Had refused to die like all the others did. It opened its mouth and something began to glow in its throat. Oh no! Hannah's voice came through the speaker. Tejo, get out of there. It is charging some kind of breath attack. Tejo saw the glow building. Heat waves rose from the beast's mouth. Whatever was coming, it would not be something he could dodge. It would cover too wide an area. He made a decision in an instant. Instead of running away, he ran forward. Straight toward the beast's face. Straight toward those massive jaws. What are you doing? Hannah screamed. Tejo did not answer. He was too focused on timing. The beast's mouth opened wider. The glow grew brighter. He had maybe 2 seconds before whatever was inside came out. At the last possible moment, Tejo jumped. Not up, not back, but forward and to the side. He caught the edge of the beast's lower jaw with his hands and swung himself up. The beast's attack fired. A stream of superheated plasma shot from its mouth, burning a line across the valley floor. Trees exploded into flames. Rocks melted into liquid. The air itself seemed to catch fire. But Tejo was not in front of the beast anymore. He was on its face. The beast shook its head violently, trying to throw him off. Tejo held on with everything he had. His fingers dug into the gaps between the beast's scales. His legs wrapped around whatever they could grab. He felt like he was riding the worst bull in the universe. Get off! The beast seemed to say with every shake. Get off, get off, get off. But Tejo did not get off. Instead, he started climbing. Higher and higher up the beast's face. Past its nose. Past its eyes. Toward the top of its head. The beast went crazy. It slammed its head against the ground, trying to crush him. It scraped its face against trees, trying to scrape him off. It rolled on the ground, nearly crushing Tejo between its massive skull and the earth. Each impact hurt. Tejo felt ribs crack. He tasted blood in his mouth. But he did not let go. He could not let go. If he fell now, he would be dead in seconds. He reached the top of the beast's head. From here, he could see its entire body stretched out below him. Its massive back. Its long tail. Its legs like pillars. And he could see something else. A spot where the scales were different. thinner, softer, right at the base of the beast's skull, where its neck met its head. "Found you," Tejo whispered. He started climbing down toward that spot. The beast continued to thrash, but Tejo had found a rhythm now. He moved with its movements, anticipating each shake and roll. On the command ship, everyone watched in stunned silence. Professor Yuna had tears in her eyes. She had never seen anything like this. A single human, fighting a monster with nothing but his bare hands and iron will. "He's going for the weak spot," she said quietly. "He found it. He actually found it." Tejo reached the base of the beast's skull. The scales here were indeed different. Smaller, more flexible. This was where the beast's armor was weakest. This was where its nervous system connected to its brain. The beast realized what was happening. It stopped thrashing. For one terrible moment, it went completely still. Then it reached up with its claws, trying to grab Tejo off its own neck. But its arms were too short. It could not reach that spot. It was like a person trying to scratch the middle of their own back. No matter how it twisted and turned, its claws could not quite get there. Tejo laughed. It was not a cruel laugh. It was the laugh of a man who had just realized he might actually survive this. "Design flaw," he said. "Everyone has at least one." He wrapped his arms around the beast's neck. Not in a hug, in a chokehold. He squeezed with all the strength he had left, pressing against the softer scales, cutting off the flow of blood to the beast's brain. The beast panicked. It ran around the valley, crashing into trees and rocks. It threw itself on the ground. It roared until the sky seemed to shake. But nothing it did could remove the tiny human from its neck. "Just go to sleep," Tejo said through gritted teeth. "Just go to sleep. Nice and easy. There you go." Minutes passed. The beast's movements grew weaker. Its roars became quieter. Its legs began to shake. "He's actually doing it," Hana said in disbelief. "He is actually choking out a giant monster." On the ground, Tejo felt the beast stumble, then stumble again. Its massive body swayed like a tree about to fall. "Come on," Tejo said. "Come on, come on, come on." The beast took one final step. Then its legs gave out. It fell forward, crashing to the ground with an impact that sent shockwaves across the valley. Dust and debris filled the air. The sound was like thunder. Tejo held on. Even after the beast stopped moving, he kept his arms locked around its neck. He was not taking any chances. He held on for 1 minute, then 2, then 5. Finally, he released his grip. The beast did not move. Tejo slid down from the creature's neck. His legs shook as they touched the ground. His arms felt like they were made of rubber. Every part of his body hurt in ways he had never experienced before. But he was alive. He looked up at the beast's face. Its eyes were closed. Its chest rose and fell in slow, shallow breaths. It was not dead, just unconscious. Well, Tejo said to no one in particular. That was interesting. He limped away from the beast's body. Behind him, medical teams were already being dispatched from the command ship. Scientists were preparing containment equipment. Everyone was rushing to do something, but Tejo just kept walking. He needed to find some water, maybe some food, definitely some clothes. He stopped at the edge of the valley and looked back at the fallen monster. It looked almost peaceful now. Just a giant creature taking a nap in the afternoon sun. "See you later, big guy," Tejo said. "Thanks for the workout." Then he collapsed. His body had finally reached its limit. Every injury, every moment of exhaustion, every ounce of effort he had spent during the fight came crashing down on him at once. He lay on the ground, staring up at the red leaves of the alien trees, and let the darkness take him. The last thing he heard before losing consciousness was Hana's voice shouting through the speaker. Medical team.
Get there now. He is down.
But Taeho did not care about medical teams. He did not care about anything at that moment. He had done it. He had actually done it, and his unconsciousness claimed him. A small smile appeared on his bloody, bruised face. The shuttle descended through the dark clouds of Korra 7. Inside, Taeho sat alone, wearing nothing but a pair of simple shorts. The pilot, a nervous alien named Day, kept glancing back at him through the cockpit door. "Are you sure about this?" Day asked for the 10th time. "It is not too late to turn around." Taeho smiled. "Just get me to the drop zone. I will handle the rest." The shuttle shook as it passed through a storm. Rain hammered against the windows. Lightning flashed in the distance, briefly lighting up the dark forests below. This planet felt angry, Taeho thought, like it was warning him to stay away. He ignored the warning. Hana's voice crackled through the communication speaker. She was back on the command ship, monitoring his progress. "Taeho, we are picking up the beast location. It is approximately 5 kilometers from your drop zone. It appears to be resting in a valley." "Good," Taeho replied. "I would hate to interrupt its nap." "This is not a joke," Hana shouted. "You are about to fight a monster that has killed 10,000 soldiers. 11,000, actually. They sent another team yesterday. It did not go well." Silence from the speaker. Then Hana's voice, quieter now. "Please be careful." Taeho touched the speaker gently. "I will be as careful as a naked man fighting a giant monster can be." The shuttle landed in a small clearing surrounded by massive trees. The trees on Korra 7 were unlike anything on Earth. They stretched hundreds of meters into the sky, their trunks so wide that entire houses could fit inside them. Their leaves were dark red, blocking out most of the light from above. Taeho stepped out of the shuttle. The ground was soft and wet under his bare feet. The air smelled strange, like metal and old flowers. Everything was quiet. Too quiet. "Drone cameras are in position," Hana reported. "The council is watching. Professor Yuna is watching. Pretty much everyone in the galaxy is watching." "No pressure then," Taeho said. He started walking toward the valley. The forest was dense and dark. Strange sounds came from the shadows. Creatures he could not see moved through the undergrowth. But Taeho was not afraid. He had faced worse during his training on Earth. He had survived the jungles of Venus and the ice caves of Titan. This was just another dangerous place. As he walked, he thought about the beast. He had studied all the footage. He had memorized its movements, its attack patterns, its weaknesses. Well, its possible weaknesses. No one knew for sure if the beast had any weaknesses. The ground began to slope downward. He was getting close to the valley. Through the trees, he could see a large open area ahead. And in the center of that open area, something massive was breathing. Taeho stopped at the edge of the forest. He crouched behind a fallen tree and looked at his opponent. The dread beast was even more terrifying in person than in the videos. It lay curled up like a sleeping dog, but its body was the size of a small mountain. Its scales were pitch black, absorbing what little light reached the valley floor. Its claws dug into the ground, creating deep trenches in the dirt. Steam rose from its nostrils with each breath. "I have visual on the beast," Taeho whispered into his communication device. "It is big." "We know it is big," Hana replied. The footage showed. "No, you do not understand. The footage does not show how big it really is. It is like looking at an entire building that is also alive and wants to kill you." Silence from the command ship. Then Professor Yuna's voice came through. "Sergeant, you can still abort. No one would blame you." Taeho looked at the beast for a long moment. He thought about the research stations, the families waiting there, the children who did not know a monster was coming for them. I appreciate the offer, Professor, but I came here to do a job. He stood up from behind the fallen tree. He took a deep breath. Then he started walking toward the beast. His bare feet made soft sounds on the ground. He did not try to be quiet. He wanted the beast to know he was coming. He wanted it to see him approach. 50 meters away. The beast continued to sleep. 40 meters. Still nothing. 30 meters. One of the beast's ears twitched. 20 meters. The beast's eyes opened. They were exactly like the footage. Red like fire. Burning with ancient intelligence. Those eyes fixed on Tejo, and he felt their weight like a physical force pressing against his chest. The beast did not move. It just watched him. Studied him. Tejo could almost feel it thinking, trying to understand what this strange, tiny creature was doing. "Hello there," Tejo said calmly. "Nice weather we are having." The beast's head rose slowly from the ground. It was watching him the way a cat watches a mouse. Curious but not afraid. Why would it be afraid? This tiny thing had no weapons. No armor. No friends coming to help. Tejo stopped 10 meters from the beast's head. Up close, he could see every detail of its scales. He could smell its breath, hot and foul like rotting meat. He could hear its heartbeat, slow and powerful, like a drum in the earth. "I know you have killed a lot of soldiers," Tejo said. "Impressive work, really. But I am not like the others." The beast tilted its head. Was it actually listening? Could it understand him? "They came at you with armies, with weapons, with all the power of their civilizations." Tejo spread his arms wide, showing his bare chest. "I brought nothing. Just me." The beast rose to its feet. The ground shook with its movement. Standing at full height, it blocked out the sky. Tejo had to crane his neck all the way back just to see its face. "You are probably wondering why I'm not running," Tejo continued. "The truth is, I do not really know myself. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I have a death wish. Or maybe," he smiled, "maybe I just really like a good fight." The beast roared. The sound was so loud that Tejo's ears rang. Trees at the edge of the valley bent from the force of it. Birds flew screaming from the forest. The ground cracked beneath the beast's feet, but Tejo did not run. He did not even flinch. He just stood there, looking up at the monster, his smile never wavering. "That is a nice roar," he said. "But I've heard louder. My drill sergeant back on Earth could make new recruits cry with his voice alone." The beast attacked. Its massive claw swept toward Tejo like a wall of death. Any normal person would have been crushed instantly. Any normal person would not have had time to even see the attack coming. But Tejo was not normal. He moved before the claw reached him. Not away from the attack, but toward it. Toward the beast itself. The claw passed over his head, missing him by centimeters. Before the beast could react, Tejo was running between its legs, heading for its back. "Missed me," he shouted. The beast spun around, surprisingly fast for something so large. Its tail swept across the valley, cutting down trees like grass. Tejo dove and rolled, feeling the wind from the tail pass over him. He came up running again. The beast struck at him with its other claw. He dodged left. It snapped at him with its massive jaws. He jumped right. Every attack missed by the smallest of margins. On the command ship, Hana watched with her hands over her mouth. Professor Yuna leaned forward in her seat, unable to believe what she was seeing. The council delegates stared at their screens in shocked silence. A single human, naked, unarmed, dancing around, the most dangerous creature in the galaxy, and he was laughing. "Is that all you have?" Tejo shouted between dodges. "Come on, I am right here." The beast roared in frustration. Its attacks grew faster, more aggressive. It was not used to prey that fought back. It was not used to something so small being so difficult to kill. Taeho used its frustration against it. When the beast lunged forward, he rolled under its chest. When it raised its foot to crush him, he was already 3 meters away. He was reading its movements, learning its patterns, waiting for an opening. The fight had begun. And against all odds, the crazy naked human was still alive. 3 days passed after the council meeting. The situation on Korra 7 grew worse. The dread beast was moving faster now, as if it could sense the fear spreading across the galaxy. Emergency meetings were held every few hours. Scientists worked without sleep, trying to find a weapon that might work. Nothing changed. Taeho spent those 3 days watching and waiting. He attended every meeting, standing quietly in the back while generals and admirals argued about strategy. He listened to scientists explain why their latest weapon had failed. He watched the fear grow in everyone's eyes. On the 4th day, another emergency meeting was called. This time, even more delegates attended. The news was bad. The beast had destroyed 2 more scout teams. 47 soldiers dead. And now it was only 10 days away from the research stations. Professor Yuna stood at the center again, but she looked even more tired than before. Dark circles hung under her eyes. Her voice was hoarse from speaking so much. "We have tried everything," she said. "Plasma cannons, acid bombs. We even attempted to poison its food supply. Nothing has worked. The beast continues to advance." A general from the Corvan Empire slammed his fist on the table. "Then we send more soldiers. 100,000 this time. 1,000,000 if we have to. And lose them all again?" Another delegate snapped. "The beast does not care about numbers. It will kill them just as easily. Then what do you suggest? We simply surrender?" The arguing continued. Voices rose higher and higher. Delegates pointed fingers at each other. Some blamed the military for poor planning. Others blamed the scientists for weak weapons. A few even blamed Professor Yuna for bringing such terrible news. Tae-Ho watched it all from his spot in the back. His fellow human soldiers stood beside him, looking uncomfortable. One of them, a young woman named Hana, leaned over to whisper in his ear. "This is a mess," she said. "They are never going to agree on anything." Taeho nodded slowly. "They are scared. Scared people do not think clearly. Can you blame them? That thing killed 10,000 soldiers like they were insects." "I know," Taeho said. A small smile appeared on his face. "But I have been thinking about that." Hannah looked at him with concern. She had known Taeho for 5 years. She recognized that smile. It was the smile he made right before doing something incredibly stupid. "Taeho," she said carefully, "what are you thinking?" "I am thinking that maybe we have been approaching this problem the wrong way." Before Hannah could ask what he meant, Taeho started walking forward. He pushed through the crowd of delegates, ignoring the confused looks he received. He walked past generals and admirals, past scientists and politicians, until he reached the center of the hall. Professor Yuna stopped mid-sentence when she saw him. "Excuse me, soldier. This area is for senior officials only." "I understand," Taeho said calmly. "But I have something to say." A Corvan general laughed. "A human sergeant wants to speak? What could you possibly contribute to this discussion?" Taeho turned to face the general. His eyes were calm, but there was something dangerous in them. Something that made the general's laughter die in his throat. "I want to fight the beast," Taeho said simply. Silence. Then more laughter. Not just from the Corvan general, but from delegates all around the hall. "Fight the beast?" Someone called out. "Did you not hear? 10,000 soldiers could not stop it." "I heard," Taeho replied. "But I do not want to fight it with 10,000 soldiers. I want to fight it alone." The laughter grew louder. Some delegates wiped tears from their eyes. Others shook their heads in disbelief. Even Professor Yuna looked at him with pity. "Young man," she said gently, "I understand you want to help. But what you are suggesting is suicide." "Maybe," Taeho admitted. "But I am not finished." He reached up and began removing his armor. Piece by piece, he dropped it to the floor. His chest plate, his arm guards, his leg protection. The metal clanged loudly against the ground. The laughter stopped. People stared at him in confusion. "What are you doing?" Hannah called from the back of the room. Her voice was filled with worry. Taeho continued removing his gear. His weapon belt fell next, carrying 2 plasma pistols and a combat knife. Then his communication device, his emergency beacon. Everything he carried as a soldier, he dropped at his feet. "I am going to fight the beast naked," he announced. Complete silence. No one laughed this time. They were too shocked to laugh. Professor Yuna stepped forward. "Sergeant, are you feeling all right? Perhaps you should see a medical officer." "I feel fine," Taeho said. "Better than fine, actually. I've been thinking about this for 3 days. About why our weapons do not work. About why our armor does not protect us." He looked around the room, meeting the eyes of delegates from a dozen different species. "We have been fighting the beast like it is a military problem. We send armies. We use technology. We build bigger and better weapons. But the beast does not care about any of that. Our technology means nothing to it." "So your solution is to remove all technology?" a scientist asked. "That makes no sense." "It makes perfect sense," Taeho replied. "Think about it. The beast has fought armies. It has destroyed tanks and ships and weapons of every kind. It knows how to fight technology. It has evolved to defeat exactly the kind of attacks we keep throwing at it." He paused, letting his words sink in. "But when was the last time the beast fought a single unarmed human? When was the last time it faced an enemy with no weapons, no armor, nothing but bare hands and stubbornness?" The room was silent. People looked at each other, unsure what to think. "You are insane," the Corvan general finally said. "Absolutely insane." "Probably," Taeho agreed. "But I have survived things that should have killed me. I have won fights that I should have lost. And you know why? Because I do not fight fair. I do not follow rules. I do what nobody expects." He kicked his pile of gear to the side. "The beast expects soldiers. It expects weapons. It expects armies trying to overwhelm it with force. It does not expect a naked human running at it with nothing but a stupid grin on his face." Hana pushed her way through the crowd and grabbed Taeho's arm. "This is crazy. You cannot do this." Taeho looked at her with gentle eyes. "I have to try. Those research stations have families, children. If no one does anything, they will all die. Then let someone else do it. Someone with better training. Better weapons. Better weapons have not worked. Better training has not worked. Maybe it is time to try something different. Something stupid." Professor Yuna approached them slowly. She studied Taeho's face for a long moment. She had seen many soldiers in her career. Brave ones. Foolish ones. Ones who threw their lives away for nothing. But there was something different about this one. Something in his eyes that she could not quite explain. It was not madness. It was not a death wish. It was pure, absolute certainty. "You really believe you can do this?" she said softly. "I do not know if I can," Taeho admitted. "But I know I have to try. Someone has to. And since nobody else is volunteering to fight a giant monster while naked, I guess that someone is me." A small laugh escaped from Yuna's lips. Despite everything, she could not help but admire this crazy human's courage. "You understand that if you fail, you will die horribly. Then I will try not to fail." The hall remained quiet. Delegates looked at each other, unsure what to do. This was unprecedented. No one had ever volunteered for something this insane before. Finally, the Corvan general stepped forward. His earlier mockery was gone. In its place was something that looked almost like respect. If you want to throw your life away, human, I will not stop you. But do not expect us to send rescue teams when things go wrong. Tejo smiled. I would not dream of it. He turned and walked toward the exit, leaving his gear scattered on the floor. Hana followed him, still trying to convince him to change his mind. The delegates parted to let them through, watching the crazy human with a mixture of fear, confusion, and something that might have been hope. Professor Yuna watched him go. She did not know if this foolish soldier would succeed. She did not even know if he would survive the first minute of the fight. But for the first time in weeks, she felt something other than despair. She felt curious. The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was silent. Hundreds of alien delegates sat in their seats, their eyes fixed on the small woman standing at the center of the room. Professor Yuna was human, but she had spent 30 years studying alien life forms across the galaxy. She was old now, her hair gray and her face lined with worry. Today, she carried news that made her hands shake. Thank you all for coming, Yuna said, her voice steady despite her fear. I wish I had better news to share with you. She pressed a button on her small device. A hologram appeared above her head. It showed a planet covered in dark forests and red mountains. The planet was called Cora 7, and it was beautiful in a dangerous way. 3 weeks ago, we sent a military force to Cora 7, Yuna continued. 10,000 soldiers. The best warriors from 12 different species. They had the finest weapons, the strongest armor, ships that could destroy entire cities. She paused. The delegates leaned forward in their seats. None of them came back. Whispers filled the hall. Some delegates looked at each other with wide eyes. Others covered their mouths in shock. A tall alien with blue skin stood up from his seat. Professor, what happened to them? He asked. His voice was deep and filled with concern. Yuna pressed another button. The hologram changed. Now it showed a creature. The creature was massive, standing taller than most buildings. Its body was covered in thick black scales that looked like armor. Its eyes glowed red like fire. Its claws were longer than swords, and its teeth could crush metal. The creature looked like something from a nightmare. This is what happened to them, Yuna said quietly. We call it the Dread Beast of Cora 7. It has no other name because no one has ever survived long enough to study it properly. The hall erupted in noise. Delegates shouted questions. Some stood up from their seats. Fear spread through the room like a disease. Please, please, Yuna raised her hands. Let me explain. The room slowly became quiet again. Yuna took a deep breath and continued. The Dread Beast is unlike anything we have ever seen. Our weapons do not work on it. Laser beams bounce off its scales. Missiles explode against its hide and leave no mark. We tried fire, ice, poison, and electricity. Nothing worked. The creature simply walked through our attacks like they were nothing. She showed more images. Destroyed tanks. Broken ships. Weapons scattered across the ground like toys. And bodies. So many bodies. Our soldiers fought bravely, Yuna said, her voice cracking slightly. But the beast moved too fast. It was too strong. It killed hundreds of soldiers in minutes. Those who tried to run were caught. Those who tried to hide were found. In less than 6 hours, 10,000 of our best warriors were dead. A small alien with green skin and large eyes raised his hand. Professor, how do we know all this if no one survived? We had camera drones watching from a safe distance, Yuna explained. The drones recorded everything until the beast destroyed them too. What I am showing you today is the last footage we received before we lost contact. She played the final video. The delegates watched in horror as the dread beast tore through soldiers like paper. It moved with terrible speed for something so large. Its roars shook the camera. In the last seconds of the footage, the beast looked directly at the drone. Its red eyes seemed to stare right through the screen. Then the video went black. The hall was completely silent. No one moved. No one spoke. The fear was so thick you could almost touch it. What do we do now? Someone finally asked. Yuna shook her head slowly. I do not know. Our scientists are working on new weapons, but we have no idea what might work. The beast seems to be immune to everything we have tried. Some of my colleagues believe it may be impossible to kill. An old alien with gray tentacles spoke up. Then, we must abandon Cora 7, leave the planet to the beast and never return. We cannot, another delegate said. Cora 7 has resources we desperately need. Rare minerals, clean water, farmland that could feed billions. We cannot simply give it up. Arguments broke out across the hall. Some wanted to send more soldiers. Others wanted to bomb the entire planet from space. A few suggested building a wall around the beast's territory and hoping it would stay there. Yuna watched the chaos with tired eyes. She had expected this reaction. She had felt the same fear when she first saw the footage. The dread beast was not just dangerous. It was a force of nature. It was death itself in physical form. There is one more thing, Yuna said loudly, cutting through the noise. The hall fell silent again. Everyone looked at her. The beast is moving. When we first discovered it, it stayed in one area of the planet. But now it is traveling. It is heading toward the coast, toward our remaining research stations. We have people there, scientists, engineers, families. How long do they have? Someone asked. At its current speed, the beast will reach them in approximately 2 weeks. More shouting. More panic. Delegates pulled out communication devices to contact their governments. Some simply sat in stunned silence, unable to process what they had heard. In the back of the hall, far from the chaos at the center, a group of humans sat together. They were soldiers, sent as representatives from Earth's military forces. Most of them looked as worried as everyone else. But one of them was smiling. His name was Taeho. He was not a general or a commander. He was just a regular soldier, a sergeant who had been brought along because someone needed to carry the equipment. He was not supposed to speak at this meeting. He was not even supposed to have an opinion. But as he watched Professor Yuna describe the beast, as he saw the fear on the faces of the most powerful beings in the galaxy, Taeho felt something strange growing in his chest. It was not fear. It was not worry. It was excitement. He had fought in wars on 3 different planets. He had faced enemies that most people could not imagine. And he had survived every single time. Not because he was the strongest or the smartest, but because he was stubborn, because he refused to quit, because something inside him simply did not know how to give up. The dread beast had killed 10,000 soldiers. Taeho looked at the frozen image of the creature on the hologram. He studied its eyes, its claws, its massive body. And somewhere deep in his mind, a crazy idea began to form. The meeting continued for hours. Plans were made and rejected. Arguments went back and forth. By the end, nothing had been decided. The delegates left the hall looking defeated and afraid, but Taeho left with a smile on his face. He had a plan. A stupid, crazy, impossible plan, and he could not wait to try it.